Hello, my name's Eddie, and this is my 1960s mini tractor built by Trojan. In the previous film, we stripped the body off and took the replacement engine off it, and in this one, we're going to try and get the original engine working and back on the tractor. And welcome back to my oven, or big tin barn. It's just touching 31 degrees in here. So it's nice and toasty, which is good. And today we are going to be working on the Trojan Toraktor. I've got the original engine on the workbench, and I'm going to try and start it, see if it will run or not, see if it's actually complete, because I don't know if it is. And then after that, if it works, I'm going to give it a bit of a paint and fit it on to the tractor. And I think that's as far as I'll be able to get for the time being. So let's get cracking. So to recap, the engine on the left is a Briggs & Stratton 3.5 horsepower that replaced this engine on the right. I don't know why the engine on the right was removed, but we want to try and get it back on the tractor as it was originally. I've removed the engine cover and we're going to whip the spark plug out and see if it's got a spark. I hate to do this, but I had to have a fan running while I was working on this because it was so hot in the barn. So the sound's a bit weird for a few minutes, but it does improve. Got a spark. You can't really see on camera, but it does have a spark. Now I'm just popping some oil in it because it's completely dry. Then I started second guessing myself as to whether or not it was all okay internally. I didn't want to try and start it if the cylinder bore was really pitted or scored or anything like that. So I whipped the head off to have a look quickly. It only takes a second. I should probably say this engine was stored in a shed for around 40 years. Not a particularly dry shed, and it didn't have a plug-in when I found it. So I'm amazed that it looks like this. I guess the plug was taken out at a different time from when it was stored, because it doesn't look like an engine that hasn't had a spark plug in it for 40 years. Looks pretty good. That was all fine, so we can crack on full steam ahead to see if we can get it to run. Getting everything tightened back up. I've got a temporary fuel tank here, and I'm just hooking some petrol up to it to see if the carburetor works. Okay. We can assume from that the float's not working. That R is because I've just broken the rubber seal that seals the float bowl onto the bottom of the carburetor. It's not the end of the world, but I can't currently find a kit for this carburetor. Fortunately, I found a spare. It's full of stuff. the spare one. So introducing the spare carburetor. I managed to find a Clinton engine similar to this one that I have that has this carburetor on it, so I thought it might be worth a go seeing if that one will work. So with the engine screwed down, we're going to offer up some petrol to this new carburetor, or this new old carburetor, and it did manage to hold its fuel mostly, so let's see if it works. It's hot in here. How hot is it? It can't be that bad. It's 10 to 6 in the evening and it's 35 degrees in here. That's why I look so terrible. But I'm happy because it runs. So this is, it needs a good clean and I'm going to paint it. But yeah, it runs. We've got to get the stuff off of this engine here and get it onto there. And then, yeah, give this a proper clean down. I worry that there's stuff in the fans and that, and that's not the proper exhaust. That's the exhaust we want. It's been sort of, yeah, anyway, that's the one we want, I think. But glad we've got that. Thank you to the donor engine. Very good. The only slight thing I'm concerned about is the governor. It did feel like it was sort of running away a little bit, the engine, but I'm so happy that we don't have to try and get a carb kit or something for this. I did look online for a carb kit for this engine, for these carburetors, but I can't find one. So to get one that sort of works off the bat is great. I'll still keep looking for a carb kit because it will be good to renew everything. And to have it in the future, basically, but yeah, we'll see. They're all in America, and they don't want to ship to me for some reason. So, there we go. The engine runs, that's great news. Now I've got to get the bits off of the old engine, or the new engine, whatever. The engine that it replaced it originally. Need to get the bits that make the tractor run and fit them back onto the old engine. Hopefully they haven't been modified too much. Don't know if they have. And I've got to find some decent paint because the engine cover was a bit rusty and I just want to tidy it up a bit. So this one runs. It's a bit sort of chunky, but it runs. The muffler from inside this has just come off. That was the spare exhaust anyway. So now I've got to get this assembly off here and onto there. See how we get on. Basically, well, that can stay on there. There's just those two bolts. That's a screw. And then this will have some grub screws. Yeah, it's got grub screws, so fit on that shaft. Hopefully it's all the same, like I said. These feel like they've been undoing themselves, because shouldn't really just be able to do this. This is essentially the sort of forward and reverse belt drive system that goes down to the prop shaft on the tractor. I'll show you it when it's back on. Okay, it's just that there. Oh, right. Not using this right, am I? I think I've just figured that out. Here we go. Okay. Okay, just figured out how that works. Anyway. Right. Okay. So there it is. It's come off. It seems to be in pretty good condition, and hopefully it will just bolt straight back onto the original engine. But before it does, I have to whip the exhaust off of the replacement engine as well, because that's the original exhaust, I think. I don't really know how much to restore this engine. I think we should definitely paint this red, but try and keep this. And I don't want to completely. It doesn't need to be immaculate. You know, it's got a bit of age to it, which is nice, but it's got everything. I definitely need to clean out a lot of the old dust that's got into it from sitting in the shed for so long. Yeah, you might have guessed it, I am lazy. I don't want to paint the whole engine. One, because I don't think it's right necessarily for this project, because the tractor, while it's been tarted up a bit, it's still sort of in, I guess you could say, working clothes condition. So I decided to paint the engine cover and the starter recoil thing red to match the tractor, the chassis. There we are, that's the first coat on. It's not great, but hopefully you can see that's the old paint. That's the colour it should be. So it's not amazing, but it's what I've had. So I painted the engine cover and the starter puller thing. It's not gone that well. I'm not that happy with it. Yeah, I just don't think the paint's that good. It will. The one thing it has going for it is it looks old because it looks bad. So yeah. In the meantime, while the paint's drying properly anyway, I'm going to fit the engine stuff all together and get it onto the plate that takes it onto the tractor. So clean. If you're watching closely there, you can see I somehow, at some point, I've obviously took the exhaust off, fitted that plate, and then I've realised I need to put the exhaust on first. So I've gone back. I don't know. I can't remember doing that. I don't know why I would. But anyway, I must have made a mistake and fit that without the exhaust and then put the exhaust on after. Weird. Now I'm removing the base plate that the engine bolts to, that then bolts to the tractor. So you can move the engine a bit. There's a bit of adjustability within this plate. We've got the little plate on, so now let's offer it up to the chassis. Right, it just drops on. I've not done up any of the bolts or anything. Obviously we've still not got the cover on because it's drying over there, thinking about what it's done to itself. So this is how it works. I don't know if I covered this in the first video. It's got forward and reverse and neutral. That's neutral. So at the minute the engine should spin and it shouldn't really go anywhere. When you push that forward, that draws this belt tensioner up, and when the engine turns, it drives everything forward. This does nothing, it's just free to spin. It's connected to the forwards, so it's driven by the belts then. And then neutral, reverse slackens off this front belt and then drives this sort of wheel into this pulley here, which tensions up the reverse belt, and then that spins the shaft the other way. The engine's on the thing. I'm going to show it in a second. I unintentionally did a really bad job of painting the engine cover. However, I think it's actually turned out quite nice because I think it looks sort of real. It looks like it grew there. Pretty good match. Can't believe that. I just need to get a sticker. And yeah, it's the original engine. So let's see if it will start. Huh. What's changed here, Edward? What have I done? What's wrong? It hasn't wanted to run, hasn't wanted to start since I put it all back together, and I've given it this lovely coat of paint. You have to say it does match anyway. So I've rebuilt the carb and given it an ultrasonic clean, and hopefully that will have sorted out any little blockages or anything that we had. It's had a clean, stripped it, cleaned it, and given it a ultrasonic clean. It was hard to strip it and keep that seal intact. Hopefully that still holds. Managed to pick it out very gently, the seal in there. So yeah, I should need to clean this bit. I'll just let's see. So we have it running. It's not running amazingly, but we have it running. And there's opportunities there to sort out the setup of this carburetor, get a proper fuel tank and stuff. I just tried this and it worked fine. So the next stage of working on this is obviously getting it to run better, getting the fuel tank fixed because it's really rusty, the original fuel tank that wasn't in use before. Just tuning up that carburetor, getting the stuff to work a bit better, making sure everything's working properly and properly sorted out. And then there's a few modifications, like need to make a cover for this because this is just open, and yeah, just generally tidying it up a bit. I'll try and run it for you like this. Just needs a bit more fuel. Wants to run with the choke on, and then I'm not sure, this is the thing, I'm not sure if we've got the governor and that set up properly yet. We'll see. And that's in reverse. There we have it. It runs, and the original engine's back on the tractor. Still needs a little bit of fettling to sort that out, and I'm going to make a plate to cover that prop that spins. Yeah, other than that, it needs a really good clean, and just, yeah, generally a bit of a tidy up, and then we'll be able to put it back together with its original engine in place, which I'm relatively pleased with, seeing as that sat in a shed for about 35-40 years. That's not too bad. Thanks very much for watching this film. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next one, where I will be working on the body, getting the engine to run a bit better, and generally tidying it up. So yeah, thanks again.